Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learning English with Podcast Conversation. I'm your host, Tony, and today I'm super excited because we have a fantastic topic to discuss. And joining me, as always, is my brilliant co-host, Jenny.
Hi, Tony. Hi, everyone. It's great to be back. I'm really looking forward to today's discussion because it's a phrase we hear so often, isn't it? It's a very popular saying.
Absolutely. Today, we're diving deep into that very common, yet sometimes confusing phrase, everything happens for a reason. You know, you hear it all the time when something good happens, or even when something challenging happens. So, Jenny, let's start with the basics. When we say everything happens for a reason, what do you think most people understand by that? Is it like destiny, like a big plan already written down for us?
That's a great question, Tony. I think many people do connect it with destiny or like a predetermined path. You know, like, oh, it was meant to be. And sometimes that can be comforting, right? Like, if something good happens, you think, this was supposed to happen. It's a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. Like you meet someone and it feels just right and you say, oh, it was meant to be. Or you get a new job and it's perfect.
Exactly. But I think for me, and for a deeper understanding, it's not so much about fate controlling everything. It's more about finding meaning or a lesson after something happens. It's about how we look back at events, especially difficult ones, and what we learn from them.
So it's not like the universe has a giant instruction manual for your life, saying, turn right here, then lose your keys here, then find a $20 bill there.
Exactly. Not like a GPS for your life, no. It's more about our perspective and our reaction. When something happens, good or bad, it gives us a chance to reflect, to grow, or to understand something new about ourselves or the world.
So it's almost like the reason isn't preset, but we discover it, or even create it, by how we process the event?
Yes, beautifully put. I think we actively participate in finding that reason. It's not passive. We don't just sit back and wait for the reason to appear. We reflect, we learn, we adapt. That's where the real power of the phrase lies, I believe. It encourages us to find purpose in our experiences, even the challenging ones.
That makes a lot of sense. So, moving on to our next big idea. If we say everything happens for a reason, does that mean we don't have to take personal responsibility? Like, if something bad happens, can I just say, oh, well, it happened for a reason, and not try to change anything or fix my mistakes?
That's a really important point, Tony. I think it's a dangerous way to interpret the phrase. If you believe everything is pre-planned, and you're not responsible, then you might not try to change things or work hard. You might become very passive.
So it shouldn't be an excuse for inaction or for not trying our best?
Never. I think it should empower you, not make you passive. You are responsible for your actions, and how you respond to what happens is key. The reason often comes from your response, not from some cosmic force. For example, if you make a mistake at work, and you say, oh, it happened for a reason, and you don't learn from it or apologize, that's not helpful. The reason could be to teach you to be more careful, or to communicate better.
Right. So it's more like, even if something difficult or unexpected happens, I am responsible for finding the lesson or positive outcome from it. It's about taking ownership of your reaction and your future actions, rather than just blaming external factors.
Exactly. It's a tool for self-improvement and resilience, not an excuse for avoiding responsibility. It encourages us to ask, what can I learn from this, instead of just, why did this happen to me?
That's a great way to put it. What can I learn rather than, why me? Now, this leads us to our next point, which is often the hardest part. How can we find the reason in truly difficult or painful situations? Because let's be honest, when something really bad happens, like a job loss, a broken friendship, or a health issue, it's hard to see any reason at all. It just feels awful.
It is hard, Tony. And it's okay to feel sad, angry, or confused first. The reason isn't always clear immediately. Sometimes it takes time, a lot of time, even years, to look back and understand it. You shouldn't force yourself to find a reason right away when you're hurting.
Yeah, I've definitely had that experience. Like, a long time ago, I really wanted this specific job. It was my dream job at a big famous company. I worked so hard, prepared for weeks, interviewed many times, and then I didn't get it. I was so disappointed. Like, why? Why did this happen? I did everything right.
Oh, I can totally imagine that feeling. That's so tough. What happened then?
Well, for a few weeks, I felt pretty low. But then, a few months later, a different opportunity came up. It was at a much smaller company, not as well known, and honestly, I almost didn't apply because I was still a bit down from the first rejection. but I decided to give it a try. And wow, Jenny, that job was incredible. The team was amazing. I learned so much more there than I ever would have at the big company. I got to try so many new things, take on more responsibility, and actually, that job helped me meet the people who encouraged me to start this podcast. So looking back now, not getting the first job was a reason, right? It led me to something better, something that truly fit me. At the time, it felt like the end of the world, but it was just a redirection.
Wow, Tony, that's such a perfect example. It truly shows how the reason often reveals itself over time. For me, a few years ago, I had a really big falling out with a very close friend. We had been friends for over 10 years, almost like family. And suddenly, it was just over. It was devastating. I thought, this is it. My world is crumbling. I've lost this important person forever. I cried for weeks. I couldn't understand why or how it happened.
Oh, that sounds incredibly painful, Jenny. Losing a close friend is like a breakup, sometimes even harder.
It really was. But after a lot of tears and a lot of deep reflection, I slowly started to realize that the friendship, while long, hadn't been healthy for me for a while. There were always small things, little negative patterns. This big break forced me to reevaluate what I needed in a friendship and to set better boundaries for myself. It was incredibly painful at the time, but it made me stronger, more aware of my own needs, and wiser about my relationships moving forward. So the reason was painful personal growth and learning about healthy boundaries. It taught me how to protect my own emotional well-being.
That's such a powerful story, Jenny. It shows that the reason isn't always about a new opportunity appearing, but sometimes it's about internal change and self-discovery. This brings us to our next point, which is also really important. Can believing this phrase, everything happens for a reason, sometimes be unhelpful or even harmful? If someone says it to you when you're really suffering, it might feel dismissive, right?
Absolutely, Tony. That's a crucial aspect we need to discuss. It's not a phrase to say to someone who is actively suffering, especially right away. It can sound like you're minimizing their pain or telling them to just get over it. Imagine someone losing a loved one, and you say, well, everything happens for a reason. No, that's not comforting at all. It can even make them feel isolated, like their feelings aren't valid.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's about context and timing, and maybe who is saying it. It's more of a personal reflection tool, perhaps, for yourself, than a comforting phrase for others to use during a difficult time.
Exactly. It's a lens for your own understanding, not a universal truth to be imposed on others. And another harmful way it can be used, which is very dangerous, is victim blaming. People might misuse it to say, oh, something bad happened to you? Well, it must be your fault. There's a reason for it. You must have done something. That's completely wrong and can cause even more pain and guilt.
That's a critical point, Jenny. It should never be used to blame someone for a misfortune. So, to be clear, it's about personal perspective and growth, not external judgment or a magic cure-all for sadness. It's about finding meaning for yourself, not about justifying someone else's pain.
Precisely. It's about empowering yourself to find a positive outcome or a lesson, rather than using it as an excuse for inaction or a way to dismiss someone else's very real struggles.
Excellent. So, despite its potential misuses, if we use it wisely, how does this idea of everything happens for a reason actually help us grow as people? What are the true benefits?
Well, Tony, I think it primarily helps us develop resilience. When things go wrong, instead of just feeling like a helpless victim, it encourages us to ask, what can I learn from this? How can I become stronger because of this? It shifts the focus from why me to what next, which is a much more powerful and active mindset.
Ah, what next? I like that a lot. It definitely encourages a proactive mindset. Instead of staying stuck in the past, you start looking forward.
Yes, and it helps us practice gratitude. Sometimes the reason for a challenge is simply to make us appreciate what we do have, or the people who are there for us. Like, after my friend incident, it made me appreciate my other close friendships even more, and to value people who truly support me.
That's very true. You see the good things more clearly when something difficult has passed. So it's about finding hidden opportunities or lessons, even when they're disguised as problems. Like, maybe a rejection pushes you to try something new you wouldn't have considered before, something that ultimately fits you better.
Exactly. It helps us to see setbacks not as failures, but as detours or learning opportunities. It cultivates a growth mindset, which is so important for personal development. Instead of being defeated by challenges, we see them as steps on our journey to becoming better, stronger versions of ourselves.
Beautifully said, Jenny. It turns challenges into lessons, and sometimes even into new beginnings. So, for our listeners, what are 3 main takeaways? 3 important things they can remember about this phrase, everything happens for a reason.
Okay, my first takeaway would be, it's about finding the lesson or meaning, not just passively waiting for it to appear. Be active in your learning and reflection.
Great one. My second takeaway would be patient with yourself. The reason might not appear right away, especially after difficult times. Give it time, give yourself space to heal, and then reflect later.
And my third takeaway would be, use this phrase for personal reflection and growth, not to judge others or to avoid your own responsibility. It's a powerful tool for self-empowerment, not for external judgment.
Fantastic summary, Jenny. Those are really clear and actionable points. Thank you so much for this insightful conversation today. It's truly been thought-provoking.
My pleasure, Tony. I really enjoyed discussing this. It's a phrase that has a lot more depth than people sometimes realize.
It certainly does. And for all of you listening, we hope this episode has given you something to think about. Next time something unexpected happens in your life, whether good or bad, perhaps you can pause and ask yourself, what might be the reason here? What can I learn?
Yes, try to adopt that what next mindset. And if you have your own stories or reflections on everything happens for a reason, we'd love to hear them. Share your thoughts in the comments section on YouTube.
Absolutely. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Learning English with Podcast Conversation, for more engaging discussions and to improve your English. You can also like this video and share it with your friends who are learning English. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep finding those reasons in life. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye for now.